Good.
Good?
Yeah, that was good.
Okay. We just finished up practice this morning. We had another padded practice, and Friday will be a helmet practice. Saturday, obviously, we'll be in pads for the scrimmage. Today, I thought was very good. You know, we did a couple situational things that we haven't done thus far. One being 2-minute offense. We hit that in practice today. Did a couple different things in some run periods as well. And I thought the guys came out there and did a great job. Really from this morning when they showed up to prepare for meetings, through the meetings and into practice, there was a lot more carryover, which is what you want to see from the meetings to practice. And both sides, you know, like you think a good practice should go, there was give and take on both. You know, the offense and the defense both had their moments today, some good things, plenty of corrections to be made, but as far as the effort went, those guys going out there and being coachable was very good. This week, looking forward, looking towards Friday, that's going to be our alumni practice. We want to try to get as many former players back as we can, and I don't know where the numbers are right now, but I've heard they're good, so hopefully have a great turnout with those guys. And you know, I think we'll see a few more guys coming back, you know, with some of the relationships that they have with some of the coaches on the staff as well. So we're excited about that. And really that day, we're getting work done as a team, but that day is very important as well for our current players to have a chance to meet and be around some of the former players, which I think is extremely important. And really, as a former player, you know, to be invited back and to know that we want you to be a part of what we're doing. We feel very strongly about it. So we're looking forward to Friday from that standpoint. You guys, you come out to practice, you know, there'll be guys, we encourage those former players to be at practice, talk to them, guys that are around. They'd expect that if you did. And we'll come together at the end and let those guys have a chance to get together. We'll eat together after practice is over as well. Saturday, big day. You know, Saturday maybe a little different than a normal spring game had we been here for 3-4 years. I know one year we drafted teams because we had the ability to do that. We'd been together for a while, had a little bit of fun. We still plan on having some fun, but it's going to be competitive, and guys are going out there to still prove certain areas that they're capable of being the starter in those positions and knowing what we expect of them. And so for us, the mindset really is to go out there and put a lasting impression for the rest of summer into that one final scrimmage. So the coaches have videotape from 3 scrimmages, including the spring game, of what to look at and kind of where we need to go and what our personnel might look like going into camp. So we're excited about that. It'll be an offensive versus defense format. One team going one direction, which will be Boise State. One team going another direction, which will be the Broncos. And that's how the scoring will be done. And first half will be played like a normal game with kicking situations. It may be versus scouts during that time, but it's still going to be normal situations as they come up. We'll come in for about a 12-minute halftime, only for let guys just get a little bit of a break, but also to go over our halftime organization just for the season. You know, we'll go in there and actually get into the positions in the locker room of where guys will go during halftime. That way the players can think about it and we can make adjustments over the summer if we want to change things up. We'll come out for the second half. We'll have a running clock of 10 minutes there, anywhere from 8 to 10 minutes, and then we'll finish up the scrimmage and a little less kicking situations at that point, maybe just setting the ball once we've gone through our kicking game that we need. But our guys are excited about it. You know, the challenge this week has been 20,000 to get out there, and we had a great response from a lot of people, and I hope we see that. I think it'd be great. You know, a lot of people are excited about it, and a lot of people that have come here in the past have supported the Broncos in spring. You know, bring somebody with you and bring somebody along, and we want to make this atmosphere as fun as possible and get a chance for our guys to play in front of the crowd and a little kickoff before we get play against Colorado State. All right, so we'll get the fans back in there and get them going a little bit before summer hits. But overall, you know, I like where we're at as far as just the effort, the energy, how we're practicing, and you know, I'm looking forward to the summer where these guys get a chance to work these schemes and get better at them and then perfect them in fall camp. So with that, open it for questions.
Start with the
facility a little bit because we
Yeah.
started with the tour. So you came in here, what, in December or whatever, hadn't seen it before. What was your impression? What caught your eye when you went through it the first time?
Well, when I had my interview, I landed here, and it was about midnight, and Mark Coyle drove me around the complex, didn't take me into it, which I thought was a little bit weird because he thought somebody might be hanging around there. I'm like, it's midnight. You guys aren't working this late. So I was very anxious to see it. So when I did get the job, we landed, my family and I, we landed about 10 o'clock at night, and the first thing we did was come over here, just to look at it. And, you guys got a chance to see it today. Obviously, it's aesthetically pleasing. I think there's a lot of things in there that you look at when you walk in the entrance and what you're trying to show as far as Boise State, the brand, with the uniforms, with the trophies, with the conference that you play in, with the hammer that's a big, large picture up there, with the wall there that talks about culture. And if you look at it, it says bleed blue in it. When you really start to look at it, I mean, there's a lot of things in there that symbolize the program right when you walk in. And then as you go through the buildings, everything's functional, really from that standpoint. When you break it down, the coaches' offices are right across in their meeting rooms, so you get a chance to see the players. And if you look down, or when you're downstairs, it's kind of a spider web, but it's very easy from that locker room to get to everywhere you need to go. And so I think they did a great job with the idea behind it of how they wanted to build it. I think they've done a nice job with how they designed it, with the graphics and where things are placed, and where guys, as they walk in or come through the facility, they see things that you want them to see each and every day. And then just overall, space. I mean, this is as nice as anywhere in the country as far as just the square footage and what you can get done. Our locker room, the structure of it. I love the steel locker rooms. I think, that expresses that bleed blue mentality that you have in there, or that we talk about. The training room facility with the hydrotherapy in there, that's obviously a place where guys can go that they want to not necessarily be, but when they are, there's a lot of positives to being in that environment. The players' lounge, majority of our guys, they spend time there each and every day, and so if you want to find somebody, you walk down there, which is exactly what you want. You hope they're staying in the building because you may want to grab them for a football question, or you just want to be around them. And so overall, I mean, when I walked in here and being at different places, and not just Texas and Arkansas State, but getting a chance to go professional development, being in a lot of different facilities, it's as nice as anywhere I've been. And the way it's set up functionally is as good as any place I've seen, and I love the idea behind it and how they did it.
How do you the tradition, the history from the players obviously is a huge part of this, this program. Everywhere you turn, there's another wall with a former player thing, or something for the hammer or the ring. It seems like you wanted to the intertwine of the history is everywhere you look.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of, as you walk through here, I mean, you embrace the past as you walk through here. And I think it says this is what's been done. And I also think as you walk through here and with the words that go along with some of those pictures, it also basically says that needs to continue. If you're really looking at the different words in here, I think there's 22 different words throughout the building, 22 different ones. There's 2 or 3 that come up twice. Play hard, play smart, those type of things, if you just walk through the building. But everywhere you go, I think it's, even with, Coach Pete and the words they had, I mean, it's still talking about the Boise State program. And, it even starts with, that goal that's right up there. That continues. And so I think they did a great job from that standpoint. There's still more opportunities. You look at it, I mean, not every wall is covered, and you can do that, but right now it's simple, it's clean, it says what it needs to say, and I like that about it.
How much of an impact does it have with recruits?
Huge. It's huge, and I think when you walk into this building, as far as the recruits and how they've walked in here, or the guys that have signed with us, have talked about this place, it's impressive. And then I think that just ties into, everything else, from the indoor facility, and you go up into the Stickle Sky Center, to the blue on the field, the layout of the stadium, to the new video board and the video screens on the side. I mean, it's all the home of the blue when you drive up. I mean, I think it's been all put together strategically, and I think it's very appealing to the players when they come in here, and really, to be honest with you, they get real jacked up about the uniforms in the locker room, and I think the families get excited about, okay, this is where they're going to be, and to be in this environment and to be in something, you know, as nice as this is, I think that puts a lot of comfort, you know, in the families as well.
Those words and phrases, obviously you've been around here before, but
Mm-hmm.
are you comfortable with all those? Are those all things that you wanted to have, or do you want to tweak some of those to fit what you think? Or
Yeah, we'll tweak some. Most of them, you know, for the most part, I mean, it's really about as pure as what this program's been about that are written on the walls. I don't think there's too much fluff or extra words that shouldn't be on there. And really, I wouldn't change very much at this point. I walked around the facility and looked at every one of them and how they apply and things we say. And, you know, for the most part, I mean, a lot of guys like myself and Marcel and guys that have been through here, I mean, that's about as pure as what we believe. You know, are a lot of these words up throughout this building and that we use in our meeting rooms. There'll be some different phrases. You know, there's no ATF up there, you know, right now at this point. But that doesn't mean that we won't. We know there's opportunities to do that, and then things can change as we go. But right now, the setup and what we're trying to get done, it fits, and we'll change accordingly.
you had man, I wouldn't have done this, or man, I wish they would have put this in this spot instead. Any of those moments as you've gone through the thing?
Gosh. You know, not really. Not really. I think there's, I haven't really found that yet. I think initially I might have thought a couple times, then you start to think about it and the way it's set up. I'll tell you one. I will tell you one, because there's a meeting room that's right across. We have a specialist meeting room, which I've never seen. All right, we have a meeting room for the specialists, which is great. But every office, for the most part, all the coaches' offices are right across from the meeting room, except for the quarterbacks. And the reason was, you know, that room was just a little bit tight for all the QBs. They felt like, so they jockeyed the room around, so the rooms are actually on the opposite ends in the building there. So I guess if you were looking back on it, you'd make that room bigger. So then truly everybody's office is right across from there. Other than that, you can see why they did it. You know, so you go back and you're like, all right, that's not that big a deal.
You gotten tired of looking at Kellen's face yet? It's all
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. And Taylor Tharp, now that he's back, he goes in that room every day and looks at his picture on the wall next to Kellen. No, I think, you know, obviously Kellen's up through the building in here. You know, Corey Hall is up through here as well. And, you know, as you walk back through here, there's some historical pictures of previous coaches and teams. There's Jeff Pittman on the wall when he played here down by the weight room that I think the players have finally caught on to. They're getting pictures of it. So, you know, I think all that embrace the past theme is really in there, and that's kind of what I took from it when I walked through here. It was like, well, it's all there, and then everything else is saying it needs to continue and improve.
And Brad found your picture too, so
Oh yeah. I made sure it was in here. It wasn't here before. I put that in there.
How many Bronco heads are there?
How many, in this room?
This whole facility.
I haven't counted those yet. I'm a little OCD, but I haven't counted all the Bronco heads. I appreciate you bringing it up, because I'll have to do that next.
Ryan, this so-called Big Five conferences keep taking in all this money from the new TV deals and bowl tie-ins and all that. And obviously, this facility is a big step toward keeping up with them. How concerned are you about Boise State or Arkansas State or the schools outside that being able to keep up?
Yeah, it's always it's an arms race, and there's always, you know, money when it comes down to it. You know, there's what else can you do? I mean, there's some facilities out there that some money's been put into that, you know, there's some things you're just going, that's unbelievable. You know, I guess the one thing from that standpoint is, you know, this facility we have right now is as nice as any I've been around, and we have it, and it's impressive, and the people that have come in here have been impressed by it, and they look at it, and it's exactly what Boise State needs. This is exactly what we need. And we can add TVs and different lights and different things like that, or dress it up or paint, whatever. This is exactly what we need. So to me, we've shown we got the ability to do what we need for our program, all right, is for recruiting, for our players, to show the direction we're headed. As long as we can continue that for what we need, then that doesn't concern me. What would concern me is if we didn't have that ability to do that, to show what Boise State's all about and express it like this, then I would be concerned. And I think most programs would be as well. And, you know, Arkansas State, before I left, you know, the goal, we were building a football complex, an indoor facility, and they're building an indoor facility. They're breaking that down. They're breaking ground on that now.
Do you have a favorite feature, a favorite something about this building?
The locker room. Yeah, I like every time. I like the setup of the locker room. I like the colors. I like the words. I think when you walk in there, that was probably the most impressive. And the logo, you know, it's similar to, you know, when I was at Texas, you know, there was a logo up on the ceiling like that and not on the floor, which, you know, I've seen ones where it's on the floor and you can't walk around it or touch it and all that, but you know what, it's right up above you there, and when it lights up at night and the blue lights are in there and it just kind of glows with the orange lettering, that's as cool of a place that I've seen, any type of locker room I've been in. So I thought they did a tremendous job on that. And then obviously everything else in this building is very nice, but that one hits you when you walk in there.
Commit you got the other day said he was looking for 3 things in a football program, and one of those 3 was the quality of the facilities. I mean, is it to the point that you have to have something like this to compete in recruiting? Well,
you got to have facilities. Yeah, you do. You got to have, and I say got to. I mean, this is what you want to have. You know, you want to have the ability to have an environment that's very nice, you know, that guys get excited about. And I think that's really what, I mean, you want to break it down in sports, and these guys are anywhere from 18 to 22. You get them excited. They're obviously good players. They're going to go out there, and their bodies and minds are going to do things. So they enjoy walking into an environment. They like being around it. I think that's exactly what you're looking for initially. And then, you know, ultimately you're going to fill it with the right people, and it makes it even more fun. But, you know, that locker room, that training room, that players' lounge down there, I mean, those guys, that's where most of those guys will hang out throughout the day. In the weight room, you know, with they got an ability to get some snacks in there, but you saw the weight room there. The weight room is, you know, the other thing about that weight room too, just functionally, if you ask me about another favorite place, when you look in there, you can get a lot of stuff done. And then, you know, we opened it up the other day. A bunch of the old fogies were in there working out, and Coach Caldwell had them lift up the door in there just to get some sun in there and a little breeze. And I mean, it's nice. That's a nice setup. So I really like that feature as well.
You talk about you've been here from when you didn't have this facility and you had to recruit without it, and you know, talk about how everything's under one building. Does this place complete this program in terms of prior to that, you know, maybe some of the deficiencies of it were the facilities? Or you guys always won, but you didn't have facilities. So do you feel like this place has really completed the program?
Yes, from that standpoint, yeah, I'd say yes to that. Only because there's not an area in here that you don't want to take somebody through. Yeah, and it's large enough too. As you walk through here, you continually see some new things. You know, every time you take a different path to go through the building. We're extremely proud of it. You know, not that, yeah, we had facilities. There were some things in there in comparisons that, you know, we knew that we didn't have quite the same. And so, you know, you're still going to, this is who we are. I mean, you're still going to let guys see that. But as far as what we have now, I mean, there's nothing in here you wouldn't want to show somebody. And I think to answer your question, yes. I mean, you hope you have facilities. You hope you have all those components. You hope you have an environment where guys want to be around. All right, once they're here, that you can see throughout the day is exactly what we got. The way it's set up and the levels and all that, it's very easy. Even though the other facility we had, what we liked about that is it was all one level. And so as you walk throughout the building, you were always seeing people. You're always seeing players. Well, it's very much the same here because it's very easy. When they come up to watch film, they got to go by the coach's office. And when we go downstairs, which we do regularly, you know, one of those easy rooms, that little spider web setup is easy to see them.
Go back to 1995. What were the facilities in 1995 when you got there as a freshman?
Well, all the guys really in that era right there, and all my buddies and guys I played with, you know, like the rest of us, like we never had that. So you got to go back to your old stories about, how you're meeting underneath the stadium there, which we did. We had position meetings underneath the stadium. When I coached here early on, the tight end meeting room was in the back of the locker room. So if guys were using the locker room at the time, that was just part of it. You had to get disrupted. But like anything, I mean, I really think, when Dan was here, the idea was to build the indoor facility. All right, and then so the people went out there and they looked at a bunch of different facilities and came back and built something unbelievable. And I think everybody sat there and thought, okay, we can do this, and that's awesome. And then they were ready to build the press box. All right, you build the press box. Now you look at that thing; it's unbelievable. So this is a third of the buildings for the football department, and you come up with something like this. I mean, it's just everything that we've done here, in my opinion, has been first class and done right, because the indoors is as good as it can get. Yep, the Sky Club is as good as it can get, and this facility is as good as I've seen.
It used to be that measure of pride in the fact that you guys were doing more with less, though. You feel like you could lose an edge because now things are nice. I mean, it was kind of that chip on the shoulder mentality that was bred from the facilities back then.
Yeah, that's definitely something that you worry about. But it's a facility. Once you're here, I think it's the way you approach it more than anything. It's nice, but the game hasn't changed, and I think we talk about that quite a bit. Facilities change, and gear and jerseys change, and all those things. The game hasn't at all, and so I think it's just how you approach it. But we don't shy away from that at all either. We don't shy away from the fact that we have a great team room or we have a great locker room. I mean, that's all those years of building towards having the opportunity to be in a place like this. And so, I want our guys and our staff, and I want the Boise State program to be proud of it. And then we know that we have to come here and work extremely hard because we did those things prior to this. That shouldn't change just because we have it. That just shows what hard work can get done for you.
Friday, you're having alumni practice, you said, and talking to Ian Johnson, he was saying that he's had more interactions with you and the staff, since you took over than he had with the previous staff since he graduated. I mean, why is it so important for you to bring these former players, back around and get involved like this?
Yeah, we have a business relationship with Ian too, so with insurance. So we've had more conversations there. But as a matter of fact, one of the first days I was back, Kess and I were out, and we went to Big Al's. We saw him there that night. So, I mean, you run into Ian, and Ian's obviously special to us, just for a lot of reasons. But it's important because all those guys of what you just said, all right, they're the ones that the blood, sweat, and tears and all that's helped build this facility. And I want to make sure they get a chance to come in here and see it. So all those guys that met under the locker room or met in the back of the locker room, or under the stadium, I should say, or met in the back of the locker room, they get a chance to come in here and see what their work, all those years have done. And, when you get done playing, sometimes it's a little bit weird. You kind of get in that, should I go back? 'Cause it's hard to stop playing the game. It's hard to be around it when you stop playing it and you're done. Well, you know what? We need to work through that. And so to get those guys back here, and all it takes is just asking them that we want you to be a part of it. We want you to come back and see what you've helped us build. Because really, I mean, this current staff and current players didn't build the building. I mean, a lot of guys before us did it. So it's the fact that those guys have been a part of this program. It's also a fact that, we have a bunch of players on our team that are really good. Not all of them are playing in the NFL. And so they're going to have opportunities outside of football when they're done. Well, guess what? There's a lot of Broncos out there that are very successful that might be in a position to help these guys get started. And so, that needs to continue. That bond and that family and that unity that's built through here shouldn't go away just because you're done playing. You've built that through a lot of years with guys that have done the same things you've done.
One more on recruiting. You said that it's helped, the facility has helped it. Has it changed it in any way, though, too? I mean, we talk about the old facilities. I mean, can you get them into the new one fast enough? And also, I don't know if you have a particular story about a recruit that came in here and was particularly excited about it.
What do you mean get them in here fast enough?
I mean, just like maybe the way that you sell the program now, like maybe you avoided the old locker rooms when you used to bring guys guys on, and now you probably can't.
Yeah, you know that we did.
And now you probably can't get them into this one.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. There's some things in there that it doesn't show what the best part of what you do. Maybe it was the locker room prior to this and all that. This is not the case here, and so, yeah, we want to get them here and let them see everything. Because really we're still excited about it as well. But there's nothing in here that we don't want to show them or that we're not proud of. I think and go back to your story about what guys have been excited about. I think when they walk in that locker room, because really that's where as a player, you're kind of trying to find out, okay, this is where I'm going to be. This is kind of my area, and this is where all the magic really happens. Is in that locker room. When you're sitting in there and you're bonding, and most guys know that. So I think when you walk into that and you're coming from some other places that don't have all those things, most high schools won't have that type of quality of a locker room. And so when you walk in there, it's like, okay, this is big time right here. And like anybody else, I mean, you kind of sit there and look at it and go, this is where it's going to happen. And I think that's where guys get excited. That's what I've seen, and we feel the same way.
I know Coach Brown at Texas did a good job of kind of repairing that program when he got there by bringing in some of those former players. How much of an influence did that have? Not saying you need to repair things here, but you saw it firsthand at Texas what it meant to have those old players around.
Yeah, it was huge. We had practices at Texas where the alumni came back. We had a specific practice at Texas, like the one we're going to have on Friday, where they came back. That was obviously a big day. But throughout the practices, just former players, NFL players that came back that would come back and either talk to the team or be around the team during that time. And I always thought Coach Brown did a great job, with his history through the program, too, of continually involving former players into the program. And that's what I saw. I saw that, and I didn't ever feel like anybody that ever came there that was a former player ever felt like an outsider. They were all involved, and I also never felt like the current players didn't know who those guys were. Sometimes, you might get some guys in here and a player who's that? Who's Vince Young? No, everybody, and I know it's Vince, but everybody knew who he was. He had interaction with those guys at some point, or had been around him. So, to me, that environment, that made an impression on me. How he went about things.
Did you do this type of practice at Arkansas State last year?
We did. Yep, we did. We had one, very similar. Same day, prior to the spring game, to invite them back, and we had quite a few former players that hadn't, from what I understood, hadn't been back to a practice or been around the players, for a long time, and so it was very positive, and we had a good turnout in the spring game the next day as well.
Looking at Saturday, the format, it's going to be the first team offense against the second team defense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Didn't want to go ones against ones at the end, or?
We've done that throughout, and there'll be, some service in there as well, because we want to see some things, on both sides, and so, we'd like to see our one offense go out there and execute, and there's some certain looks we want to get in there as well. And the same thing with the defense. We want to have the defense get some certain concepts against them it's still, again, rather than just playing, we still got to get some work done. And so for the most part, we're playing. And a little bit of let's make sure we hit these things against the defense and the offense so we can get those looks and get them on tape and have them for the summer.
There's been dinners and showers and different things on the line over the years. Anything on the line this week?
Pride. Just pride, opportunity to play in the fall. But we'll take care of them after practice. And, all those are fun. I'll tell you what, even today we competed. We've competed in every practice. And today, there was a competition in 7-on-7. If the offense won, immediate up-down right there on the whistle. So guys are getting tired. If the defense won, if the defense lost, they had an up-down. Or the offense lost, they had an up-down. So we have been competing in every practice, with some form or fashion where there's a yes or no or a win or loss. That's simple. Saturday's about those guys, coaches off the field. All right, none of that. Let the refs do their job, go out there and play, have some fun. get a couple things that we need to get done in there as well, and get a lot of work out of it.
You mentioned kind of getting a good taste going forward into the summer. With the running game in particular, is that something you'd like to see? I know, but both ways for a coach, because I think the defense is doing well. But would you like to see the running game be going a little bit?
Yeah, I do. I don't see much difference, even from the last scrimmage. We have certain concepts that we need to hit, and we just need to keep repping them. They're ones that we feel like are our bread and butter and the DNA of what we do. More production in the run game, absolutely. And I also like where the defense is and shut them down. You like to make a team one-dimensional on defense if you can do that. And so both sides of the ball, you'd like to see the offense go out there and run it. You'd like to see the defense step up and play it. And it's going to be a matter of, really at this point, who goes out there and executes better, because there's not a whole lot of secrets that are going on there as far as what the defense is doing and the offense is doing. They've seen enough of it. It's not really going to change. And now it's just those guys going out there and just playing fast and playing live. And, the environment will change, which will bring more energy, out there in front of a crowd. So that's going to change some things as well, and that's going to be another element they got to deal with.
Will the juniors be at that Friday practice? The guys you have in for junior?
Not many. Maybe some guys that show up early, but Saturday is our junior day again. There's always a few guys that show up, a day early if they are. We'll have to manage that a little bit.
We've seen out Archie Lewis as a freshman playing tackle out there with the first team.
Yeah, I like him. There's some freshman mistakes in there, but he's done some really good things. And matter of fact, I hit him up the other day. We're running a run concept, and he's one-on-one with the D end, and he gets out there and gets some reach and drives him and flattens him off down the line of scrimmage. So I've been really happy with where Archie's at. I like his approach. He's got a great demeanor out there. He's very coachable. So he's going to be good. Yeah, he's doing a really nice job, and he's into it. So this summer, I fully expect we see him in fall camp. Maybe some of these just little mental mistakes because of the new concepts, those are going to be taken care of how he operates.
What are you doing with Reese when he comes back? Is he going to play right or is he going to play left?
He'll play left.
Reese will play left?
Yeah, he'll play left right now, is the plan. And, we get all those guys back in the mix. Connor Peters, Alec, there's a group of guys in there we still got to get back, where they're going to be as well. I know it's not the O-line, but, that will still make some adjustments in our personnel of who goes where. But right now we're planning on getting Reese back at left tackle.
So then we move Archie over to the right to compete, or just
Well,
leave him on the left?
No, we'll move him. We'll move him over to the right, and then there'll also be some guys that can move into guards. That's one thing. I mean, you can always move in as well, and so we get the best 5 in there. If it was a tackle that might move into guard, then we do those things. But once we got everybody in there, we'll take the top 5 guys, and if they're tackles that play guards, they're tackles that play guards.
Do you like the fact that you're training him both ways, or knowing that Reese was coming back, did you think about just starting him on the right side of the spring?
You got to train them both ways. Just going through that, being through the 11-man rotation throughout a year. I mean, they better know it. And really, left-handed stance, right-handed stance. You've got to be able to do it, because if you're the 6th guy, for example, and you're going in, but your strength is at guard, and Archie's playing right tackle and Reese is out, well, Archie's got to go to left, and we get the next guy in, and that's the rotation. And that chart that Coach Huff has, for all those different scenarios that come up, it's a whole page long, what could happen. But, we actually go through it, not so much now, but in fall camp, it'll be lineup 1, lineup 2, and you go through about 5 of them. That gets you started throughout the season, then at least you've covered it.
Defensive line, looks like JT has had a pretty good spring with
He has. Yeah, he kind of got a little bit dinged. He dinged his ankle up a little bit. And right before spring break, and then came back, and he's been good. Now, he's hampered him. He's got it taped up pretty good, so he's not full speed, but he continues to get better. I think his mentality and I think the confidence he's playing with now has improved. You can see it. He's starting to really feel, in my opinion, that he's out there and knows exactly what he's doing.
After the scrimmage last week, he said that kind of it's more base offense. Do you think that we'll see anything different this week, or open it up a little more?
Yeah, a little bit more. We're some of the gadgets and different things like that we've hit in practice, you know, and we're just not very good at them right now, you know. I mean, and really it kind of comes down to getting the right personnel. It's not so much that, you know, we haven't spent a whole lot of time on them, to be honest with you, because we're just spending more time on the base stuff and getting that right. There'll be a few things in there, you know. It'll be different than last. There'll be a little more variety from both sides. The whole playbook, no. You know, you won't see all that because we're not there yet.
When you put the staff together, obviously you have some guys from here, some guys from Arkansas State, and you mesh some guys as you approach kind of the end of the first spring here. How do you like how the groups come work together and kind of doing what you thought it would be?
Yeah, like I hoped. You know, very good. You know, I think let me say this, better than I thought. You know, because these guys are very good at what they do. Two, they're all low ego, high output guys that work together well, and they're idea guys, you know. And I know the X's and O's about, you know, most of them, you know. But even ideas. I mean, you know, this staff in my opinion is creative, you know, from the ideas of even how we go about junior day, you know, how we organize it. All right, how we lay some things out that quite honestly people have made comments to us about, you know, what we've done, which has been different, you know, to the ideas of the videos or the social medias and different things like that. You know, guys are into those things, and so I think that this group up to this point, you know, just keeps evolving, you know, and they enjoy that. So to me, that says a lot about the direction we're headed. We'll have ideas and, you know, they're not afraid of them, you know, and if we can do them, we'll implement them. So that's going to help us with some creativity, and that needs to carry over.
How about getting to know the players? I mean, at the beginning of spring ball, we asked you about watching tape and stuff on them, and now that you've had 12 practices with them, how much do you say that you're trying to identify personnel and all that stuff, how much better do you have a grasp on all your players and their ability?
A lot better. Yeah, a lot better through spring, you know, and we'll have our evaluations this next week. The coaches will. The following week, I've got my evaluations with all the players. And then here's the one thing I know: from when the end of spring ball is done to the beginning of fall camp, that summer, if that particular player will take those 2 to 3 things and really work on them, that guy will be so much different than he was when he ended spring practice. And so we'll walk out of there with somewhat of a lineup of what, you know what, we'd say this in the staff room. If we had to play right now, what would we do? So at least we get an idea. And every coach in that room, defense and offense, will know what our team looks like, at least coming out of spring. Then we'll get back into fall camp. We'll have an idea of the pecking order. And those first 2 weeks, you know, I think we scrimmage on practice 8. So the 7 practices leading up to scrimmage 8, we'll be moving guys around. Scrimmage 8, that's going to decide, okay, who are going to be the starters, really. You get into scrimmage 2, now you're taking that roster and you're saying, all right, who's the next guys and who are the backups? All right, and you're cutting your roster down like an NFL team to your 53-man roster or whatever. Here's our 2 deep. And then that last scrimmage is, you know, letting some guys get out there and just play. But by scrimmage 2, I mean, you're really down to 2 deep there and what your team's looking like going into the season. And then from that point, you start really getting into game plans. And then when I talk about personnel, now you start manipulating what you're doing with different people.
Can you play a game right now, Peter?
Probably not. Probably not. I think the players would say differently, you know, because trust me, they've done well. Could we go out there and play? Would they want to go play? Is the attitude right to play? Absolutely. You know, where we are right now with our expectations and standards of execution, not yet.
So you'll meet with every player individually?
Yes. Yep, all the coaches will as well, their positions, and I'll meet with all of them the following week, and, you know, just to make sure, and, you know, a lot more than just football, but just make sure on the same page and get the summer plan for those guys organized.
When you look at the linebacker position, you have a lot of depth there, maybe more so than in any other position. You know, you only have 2 guys that really can play at the same time. Are you looking at special teams for those guys or ways to get more of them on the field?
Yeah.
It looks like you got a ton of depth in that.
Yeah, special teams, absolutely. And, you know, like anything else, I mean, if there's a guy over there that we can use at other positions, then we'll do that. You know, that's that's part of that evaluation at the end of the spring as you look at your position and we talk about those guys. You kind of see who needs to be on the field, and sometimes you have two guys that are really good and you've got two guys behind them that are really good. All right, well, we need to find a way to get them on the field. First, easiest way is special teams, to utilize that. If it's also a position opportunity maybe on the offensive side or another position on the defensive side that we can utilize a guy, in a personnel group, which that will come into play eventually, where you say, let's get 3 of them out there, and we create a personnel group to do that, then we'll do it.
Is that-
Wrap this up real quick with this, Bryan.
Is that the one spot that you do feel really good about? Because either your third string guys look like were guys that played last year or could play.
Yeah,
again this year.
depth-wise, all those guys, I mean, from what I've seen, yeah. I mean, those guys, that's a good group. And, we've got guys out there that need to be on the field, quite frankly. And like you said, they're not going to be able to do that. So that is part of it, but we'll find ways to get them out there.
All right. Thanks, Bryan.
Okay, yes, sir.
Players, Coach Allen, will be able to recruit.